So I just want to spend the next 2 hours talking about what is critical thinking. So so sitting on the top of our shoulders is one of the finest computers in the world. However, just like any other muscle in your body, it needs to be exercised in order to work best. And that exercise is called thinking. How do we think about things? How do we analyze issues and make conclusions in anything that we do? So that begs the question, what are the characteristics of critical thinking? I mean, what is all that about? How do you think, how does one think critically? And when is it important to think critically? Or why? Why is it important to think critically? So actually, I want you to think about the different types of thinking that we do. And so really for maybe about 10 minutes, I'm going to put you in breakout groups only for 10 minutes. I just want you to talk about or define very simply critical thinking, positive thinking, and lateral thinking, whatever that is. So I'm going to right away put you to work just for about 5-10 minutes. All right, very good. So, well, let's start off with critical thinking. What is critical thinking?
I think the critical thinking is kind of like logical thinking. We are having some data. We will try to analyze it and understand it and take from that like a judgment or something from that data. And we will make like a clear judgment from the data presented. So it is like I am doing a step-by-step way of thinking.
Okay, all right, that's a good start. Other thoughts?
Same thing. It's a systematic approach to reach a judgment.
Okay, very good. A systematic approach to reach a judgment. Okay, good. One more thought.
Objective thinking.
I'm sorry?
Objective. How to think
Objective.
objectively.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
to analyze
what
the
do you mean
facts.
by objective?
I mean, to see the positive and negative things, not just to be affected by subjective part or my own judgment.
Okay. Not to see just the positive and negative. Other thoughts about objective thinking? I mean, I like that word objective, but I think it could encompass more than just, not just
I think it is
positive and negative.
Yeah, I think it is just not to be biased to certain things.
Right,
To
not
be biased.
biased. Right,
Yeah.
excellent, good. All right, so that's a very good start. What's positive thinking?
Putting so much weight on
What's that?
positive points. Putting so much weight on positive points. And
So much weight on positive
overestimate.
points. What's a positive point? Other thoughts?
It's like seeing the full half of a glass of water.
Right, yes, you were giving that analogy. Is it half full or half empty? So you like to take a more positive approach. Another example?
I don't know if it's correct, but to be optimistic.
Yes, optimistic, right.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, very good. Or I think, who gave that example of the exam? Sosin, was that you or somebody else?
No,
That,
it was me,
Maha?
Maha. Yeah.
Okay, right,
Maha actually gave the example of the exam, and I gave the example of the cup.
The cup, right, yes, right. So both of you are good positive thinkers, okay? And I have no doubt about being critical thinkers. What about lateral thinking? What the heck does that mean?
Tausan can explain that.
ماشي يا مها ماشي. Okay, I can explain that. I think as far as my knowledge say, literal thinking is. Can you hear me?
Is what?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Literal thinking, the meaning of that is like we are a group of people thinking about an issue. So some of us can suggest something. It's branched a little bit away from everybody else's opinion, and that's why it's called literal. That means that they can go out of the way to see the issue that we see from different point of view, a little bit far from everybody else's thinking or the way they are thinking about it. Like if I give the example of the cups, somebody is going to think the cup is full, half full, so is positive. Negative is the cup half empty. But some people cannot even see the cup, or they assume the cup is an objective thing that we cannot compare positive and negative issues about it. You know what I mean? So it's literal. It's another opinion. It's far away from everybody else's opinion, like an outlier or outlier opinion or something like that.
Is it good thinking or bad thinking?
It might be both. It can go both ways. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, it can go both ways. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Very good. That's an excellent start. So let's see what we have here. So let me just right. So why critical thinking? Well, as we mentioned before, it could be filled with biases. I mean, a lot of thought, a lot of thinking is filled with biases, prejudices, mistakes in reasoning, and unexamined social rules that should be examined for truth and validity. Okay, which professional group is, I think, most guilty of false thinking? Which professional group? So let me give you some choices. You got doctors, nurses.
What do you mean?
Postmen, lawyers, and politicians. Which one is guilty of the worst type of thinking?
The politician. Which other two?
What's that?
I heard only politicians. Which other two?
Oh, you only heard politicians. Well, that's okay. That's the right answer. Okay. All right. No problem. They always mistakes in reasoning, unexamined social rules, biases, prejudices. They always trying to manipulate you, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that's all right. So let's see. Always have to. So always problem with the slides. All right. All right, so positive thinking is a mental, emotional attitude that focuses on the bright side of things in life and expects positive results. A person with positive thinking mentality anticipates happiness, success, health, and believes that he or she could overcome any obstacle with that presents difficulty. So here, on this side, we have negative thinking, positive. I've never done that before. Whereas the positive person will say, it's an opportunity to learn something new, or it's too complicated. I'll take it from a different angle. I don't have the resources. Necessity is the mother of invention. There's not enough time. Let's reevaluate some priorities. So, I think you are all on the mark about negative thinking, positive thinking, manage your self-talk. This is going to be a wonderful day, as opposed to this is going to be a crappy day, okay? You want to wake up in the morning, at least in the morning, you would have the attitude, this is going to be a good day, even though it's raining and blah, 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 okay? So positive thinking is good, but sometimes it's not always realistic or necessarily attainable. Sometimes it's just plain delusional. So I think the other day somebody mentioned false hope in clinical medicine. It's on one hand, it's good to have positive thinking, but sometimes you need to be realistic. If you have bad illness, I think you probably need to have a combination of positive thinking and I just thought another type of thinking, realistic thinking. Realistic about the actual situation, which I think is more closer to critical thinking. Now, lateral thinking was coined by this gentleman here, Edward de Bono, to denote a problem-solving style that involves, as was mentioned, looking at the situation at different angles, unexpected angles. Sometimes a problem seems difficult or insolvable because our assumptions about it are wrong, or we have the same assumptions that we carry with us for years and years. The other way to think about it is thinking outside of the box. Okay, we're not. We're so used to thinking inside of the box with the same solutions all the time, and when we come up with a difficult problem, we're not able to step outside of the box or take a lateral point of view. So after logical and linear thinking, parallel thinking or collaborative thinking emerges. That's why it's good to think about things in groups, because that's where one could generate new ideas. Just hearing other people think about things may generate a different idea, and that's why people like to collaborate and work in groups rather than just by themselves. You want to consider all the factors, alternative possibilities, and from a different perspective, and create new channels. Essentially, we have to de-learn our usual way of thinking and relearn different ways. So here, let me give you an example, okay? The surgeon, a father and his son are involved in a car accident as a result of which the son was badly injured, and his father rushed him to the hospital for emergency surgery. However, the surgeon at the hospital takes one look at the boy and says, "I can't operate on him." And when asked why, the surgeon says, "Because he's my son." What's happening here?
The surgeon is the mother of the son.
Yes, right. The surgeon is the mother. We shouldn't make the assumptions all the time that all surgeons are men, right? Okay, very good. All right. So let's take a harder problem here. There are 6 eggs. Oh, here we go. 6 eggs in the basket. There are 6 people who's going to take 1 egg. How could it be that 1 egg is left in the basket after everyone takes 1 egg? Everyone is supposed to take 1 egg. After all that is done, how could it be that 1 egg is left in the basket?
Maybe there's another egg beneath these 6
No,
eggs
only-
that no one sees.
Only 6 eggs. I'm giving you the facts. Don't change the facts.
Okay.
Maybe one of the 6 people wasn't there.
No, all 6 people. I mean, good thought, but all 6 people are there. No. I guess you could say maybe somebody shot the 6th person.
Or
Actually,
the egg
that
is broken.
would have been a good thought. Negative
broken?
thinking, but a good thought.
What if one of the people was pregnant, so we can say that there are 2 people, but she will only take 1 egg?
I'm not sure if I understand that, but all right. Any other thoughts? Well,
Maybe one of the eggs are broken.
no. One person
Yeah.
takes the basket as
With
well
the
as
egg.
the last egg.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. Very good. Here's a similar problem. So we have a acting on an anonymous phone call, the police raided a house to arrest a suspected murderer. They don't know what he looks like, but they know his name is John. Inside the house, they see a carpenter, a lorry driver, a car mechanic, and a fireman playing cards. Without even asking his name, they immediately arrest the fireman. How do they know that they got the right man?
I think because the firemen usually has their name tags on their suits, maybe.
Okay, all right, that's a good thought. I like that thought. Right, okay, good. Other thoughts? Something similar to the previous problem. Well, just that everybody else was a woman. And there was only one man there. See, we're still thinking in a male-dominated culture here. Okay. All right. Very good.
Mm.
So, oh well, let's. Oh yeah, let's. So we have 6 glasses here. 3 full, 3 empty. And by moving only one glass, can you arrange them so that the full and the empty glasses alternate? Just by moving one glass. Could you have it so that
You can take one, the second left.
yeah, and do what?
You can take the second one from the left and put in the second one from the right.
Do what now? Take this one?
Take this one
Yeah.
and pour it here
Pour it where?
and return it back. Pour it here.
I'm sorry?
Put it here. Put the
Where?
juice here.
Here?
Yeah.
And then put this back.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. You move this, you pour it in here, and you put it back. Good. So after only 15 minutes, you have demonstrated good lateral thinking. Good job. Okay, very good. So now the basic assumption was that you're supposed to actually move the glass and don't put it back in the original position. So, all right, very good. So again, you have to think out of the box. So the brain is not accustomed to lateral thinking, and we stick to these patterns, you know. All occupations are filled with men, doctors, firemen, carpenters, and so we need to be more creative in our thinking and block out normal channels when we do lateral thinking. So it's not critical thinking, because we said before critical thinking was a systematic way of thinking, which is different from lateral thinking. But I wanted to throw that in. And then we have positive thinking, which is not systematic at all. We're always looking on the bright side of things, which is good, but sometimes it may not be realistic. So again, why think critically? As I said before, you know, we have a lot of hidden biases, prejudices that we may not even be aware of. We have to question assumptions, and we have to always be on the lookout for false way of thinking, because then we'll accept claims or conclusions that are false. So critical thinking is a way of deciding to believe or what to do. We live in a world in which we have to, as much as possible, find out what the truth is. We're not always going to have, and I'll explain more about this in the second session, where there's 2 types critical thinking, deductive thinking and inductive thinking. And deductive thinking is a way of thinking in which your conclusion has to be true if the premises are true, whereas inductive thinking is not, you don't have complete certainty that something is true. For example, if I look out the window here, I see all the trees are green, and you know, I could induce and say all trees, no matter where they are green, which is not true. But it depends. You could call it on the sample size. If I was able to look at trees from different countries, I would not say that. But it's a type of critical thinking, but you have to be, and we'll talk more about this, aware of your sample size. But so critical thinking is a process, as you said before, systematic way of raising vital questions, considering alternative answers, avoiding simplistic explanations, and recognizing the impact of the actions on others. And critical thinking lies in direct opposition to impulsive behavior, where you take an action without doing any thinking whatsoever. Passive thinkers take a simplistic view of the world. They see things in black and white rather than recognizing a variety of possible understanding. They see questions as yes and no with no different or shades of gray. They fail to see linkages and complexities and fail to recognize related elements. So critical thinking does not mean negative thinking, does not mean being skeptical without being cynical. And you intend to seek the truth. So the benefits of critical thinking is you become aware of different approaches to a problem, appreciate different worldviews, you challenge your own beliefs and assumptions. An example, sometimes, have you ever asked sometimes a person, why do you do it this way? And they answer, oh, we've always done it that way. Okay, so those are people who are not willing to question their own beliefs or assumptions. Saying we've always done it that way is not critically thinking about things. You're doing something because it was done before, and you're not willing to question your beliefs and assumptions. Critical thinking, you could prioritize things, time and resources, enhance communication, and taking decisions on an analytical approach and on a considered basis. So, you know, critical thinking is, when you think about it, is something that looks something like like research, right? When you do research, you you form a hypothesis about something, usually based on gaps in knowledge, and now you want to find an approach to answer a question or solve a hypothesis. So, you know, you need powers of observation, interpretation, analysis, discrimination of the data. Okay, once you have your systematic approach and you have your data, now you have to analyze it. A lot of times, and it's not hard to find papers in which the investigator or the authors have come to conclusions that are not supported by the data. Not supported by the data. They over-conclude the what's in the results without considering the limitation of the data. So you need to evaluate and explain. And so core critical thinking skills, interpretation, analysis, inference, explanation, evaluation, and self-regulation about your thoughts. So this is critical thinking is needed to do research. Critical thinking is needed to evaluate protocols from the ethical point of view. Yes. How are you?
How about yourself?
All right.
So I took some. Usually it's a 5-day window, and we had other stuff going on this morning. But I'll take a look and see if I can get you up and running.
Oh, you're here for
The jack.
oh, for the jack.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, right. So
So is that one working? Or
excuse
no?
me for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no. I'm sorry. No, the jack on the other side.
Okay. Take a look.
Oh, yes, right. No, I didn't know who you were.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That's someone is.
That might be old infrastructure, but let's take a look.
Okay. All right. Don't mind me. I'm just
Okay. Don't mind me. I guess you're.
right.
Okay.
But feel free to.
Yeah, like I said, this may be old infrastructure, but let's take a look.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to get another Ethernet jack.
Yeah, we might have to do the other side if that's okay or no.
What other side?
Where that jack's coming from?
Oh, you could. Those are 3 separate circuits.
No, they're. Yes. They're 3 different
Oh,
connections.
but the same IP address.
Yeah, so the way we do it, it's based on building and floor. So packet pret 2 are all in the same IP scopes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Packet pret 3, Godelsky 5, that's how we do it. 95% of us that way, a couple aren't that way, but
Okay. Well, if you need to get at that jack, I could switch over to.
no, there's 3 on there. I can check another one.
What's that?
There's 3 possibilities there. You're using one,
Yes.
so there's 2 others I can, or 1 other.
Right. But do you need to
That was a phone line. I'm listening.
disconnect me?
Nope, not at all.
Oh, okay. I guess I was exhibiting a little negative thinking there,
Yeah,
But-
no, you're good.
but my friend is doing positive thinking. Okay.
Gotcha.
Very good. Okay. All right. Very good. Life is good. Okay. All right. Where the heck was I? Yes, right. Critical thinking for analyzing ethics review of research proposals. Okay, great. So one of these days I'll get better at this. That doesn't work. That's
So that one's actually not. Well, that's a DS. Was a DSL.
I see. So uncritical thinkers, right? Don't think about it, just sign it. Okay, uncritical thinkers pretend they know more than they do, get annoyed by problems, impatient, judge on first impressions and intuition, focus on their own opinions, don't consider other opinions, look only for ideas on their own. That's the other advantage of working out problems in groups. You could hear other people's opinions, ideas, interpretation, because it's really difficult for one person to know all the different points of view. Is that working?
I had to tone the line, so what this does, it sends a tone to the IT closet because the bottom one's not labeled. So I'll go and I'll see if I can find it in the closet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good, great. All right.
Can't make any promises, but we'll see what we can do.
All right. So, having said all that, let's look at what I'm going to call the building blocks of critical thinking. Critical thinking is the careful application of reason in the determination of whether a claim or an assertion is true. A claim or a conclusion is true. I mean, people are always making claims. The world is flat. Okay. Or making claims about certain groups of people. Or making a conclusion. And our job is to understand what's the basis of that claim. Why is that claim true? Many times I see people write, that's unethical. That's a conclusion. That's a claim. But guess what? When people write that down in their assignments, they don't support that conclusion. And frequently, I ask students, what's the basis of that claim? Why are you saying that's unethical? You haven't given me any basis for that claim. And you're going to hear that over and over again. You're going to keep on hearing, that's unethical. Why? Tell me why. We shouldn't do that. Why? Okay? Give me reasons. And then I'll determine whether I agree with those reasons. So that's that's the work we have to do. So essentially, we have to think about an argument. Now, what do I mean by an argument? An argument doesn't mean I'm fighting with you. Doesn't mean, well, it could mean I'm arguing with you. However, that doesn't mean I'm yelling at you. I'm having an argument. I want to develop an argument to tell you the basis of my claim. We produce an argument when we give a reason for thinking whether a claim is true. So an argument consists of two parts. The first part have what we call the premises, which provides the reasons for your conclusion. Okay? And the second part is the conclusion. So you have a claim, and we have supporting statements for that claim, and we call that premises. So the building block of critical thinking is that we have premises and we have a conclusion, or maybe I should say we have premises and then we have a conclusion, okay? And the premises, in order to support the conclusion, it has to be true and relevant to the claim, okay? If you have a false premise cannot support your conclusion, okay? So that's the first thing to think about. Again, an argument does not mean that you're angry about something. That's the usual way we think of an argument. We see two people arguing with one another. So here we have Sally and Bob are having an actual argument about abortion. Sally says abortion is morally wrong, and those who think otherwise are seeking to justify murder. Bob says abortion is not morally wrong, and those who think so are right-wing bigots who are seeking to impose their narrow-minded views on the rest of us. Okay? Have either Sally or Bob justify their claim whether abortion is wrong or right. Have they they have argued against each other, but have either of them stated a reason for their claim to convince you of their opinion?
No, they haven't provided any reason. They just gave their personal view, personal opinion.
Right, yes. So abortion is morally wrong, and those who think otherwise are seeking to justify murder. But, well, all right, but she hasn't given any reasons why abortion is morally wrong. She may think it's murder, which some people do, but you have to give a reason why it's murder, because other people don't think it's murder. And here is not morally wrong, and then just actually starts to what I'm trying to say is say bad things about people who think it's wrong. So essentially, you're attacking a person about their views, and we'll talk more about that as well. So let me. So the all-important point, again, an argument consists of two parts, one of which is the premise that supports the other part, the conclusion. Now, sometimes a premise itself could be a claim to justify, a claim could also be a premise, but you already know that premise is true to begin with. And so the claim for which a premise is supposed to give a reason for the conclusion of the argument. So again, a premise could be a claim itself. So just to summarize here, so a claim is a statement which could be true or false, but not both. A claim is an assertion you want to have accepted as a fact and not to be disputed. Well, that's not entirely true. A claim doesn't necessarily have to be a fact, meaning 100% true, but it's as more true than false. And I'll give examples of that. So when you're evaluating a claim, okay, you have three choices. You could accept it, reject it, or suspend judgment until you have more information, okay? And an argument is a set of claims that consists of premises and leads to a conclusion, okay? So a good argument is one in which the premises leads logically to a strong or valid conclusion. And, you know, we'll talk more in future sessions about the concept of the strength of your conclusion. So it's something similar to research. You have all the data and you come to certain conclusions. But the strength of your conclusions from the research is only as good as the data you have. And that's why if you when you read papers and journals, there's always a section towards the end, potential limitations of the study. You've made some conclusions from the data, but you have to admit that the data may not be perfect. It may not represent the sample size. Oh, I'm sorry, may not represent the population exactly. So, so we'll talk about strengths of a conclusion, which is based on the strength of your data in research. So,
Is this the only place where there's jacks?
there's one other place behind here.
Yeah, that's okay. That's it.
Yeah, there's two jacks here, one of which is live.
Yeah, I'm just in my. They're labeled. There's 4 in there labeled, and I want to make sure I'm checking the right 4. And that's it. Okay.
Yeah, I unless there's are there any other active ones?
No, I'm looking for general jacks in general. There's some of it's labeled, some of it isn't.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
I'll track it down.
Only one I know. Okay.
Yeah, this just might be one of those. Keep plugging until I find it.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So 3 steps. What we're going to do in the remaining time is to identify when we have an argument, as opposed to an explanation or just merely a statement. Okay. So you have to understand the context. Is someone trying to convince you of something when you look at a statement? And if so, could you identify the claim or the conclusion? What are they trying to convince you? And could you identify the reasons or the premises? Okay, so for example, here's an example. Someone asked, should Sam be excused for missing class? So the premise is Sam's grandmother died and he had to attend the funeral. And the conclusion is Sam should be excused for missing class. So the conclusion answers the question asked by the issue. Okay, so think of it this way. Someone is trying to convince you whether Sam should be excused for missing class. Someone is making the claim, Sam should be excused for missing class. Okay, now, on its own, you may ask, well, why is that so? Why should Sam miss class? Why not anybody else? Okay? Why should Sam miss class? And you give a reason. Sam's grandmother died, and he had to attend the funeral. Okay? So now, this premise is basically true. Okay? Sam's grandmother died. That's probably true, right? Okay? No one's going to doubt that. And he had to attend the funeral. I think that's most likely true as well, right? Someone dies in the family, you're expected to go to the funeral. So this premise, I mean, you could say this is a claim too. Well, it's a true claim. It's a true premise. Sam's grandmother died. He had to attend the funeral. And that premise justifies the conclusion that Sam should miss class as opposed to anybody else for missing class. So this is an argument. It's trying to convince you of their conclusion that Sam should miss class. Okay? Any questions about that? All right. Okay, so what about is this an argument? Identity theft is up at least tenfold over last year. More people have learned how easy it is to get hold of another social security number, bank account numbers, and such. The local police department reminds everyone to keep close watch on who has access to such information. Is this an argument?
No,
Okay, why do you say that?
because it's basic. Nobody needs to convince anybody with anything. You need to take care of your social security number and your old privacy bank account numbers and stuff like that, so it cannot be stolen. So I do not need to convince you that you need to take care of this stuff or keep it private.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
All right. Everyone agree?
There is no claim.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Good. There's no claim. Right? It's just giving advice.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Mhm.
it's not stating who are taking the bank account numbers. It's not making any claim whatsoever. It's just giving advice. Now, what about this? The number of people who have learned how to steal identities have doubled in the past year. So you are more likely to become a victim of identity theft than you were a year ago.
I think this is an argument
Okay, tell me why.
because the claim is that you are now more likely to become a victim of identity theft. And this is logic because we found that the number of people who have learned how to steal identities has been doubled.
Okay, very good. So this is the premise. This is the claim. So good job. Okay, very good. So here, back to the abortion debate. Abortion is morally wrong because it is wrong to take the life of an innocent human being, and the fetus is an innocent human being. Now, in this example, Sally has given an argument against the moral permissibility of abortion. She has given us a reason for thinking that abortion is morally wrong. Now previously, she just asserted that it's morally wrong, and she's giving a reason why abortion is wrong. What reason is she giving as to why abortion is morally wrong?
I think she's claiming that the fetus is a human being and killing it is violating of his right.
Okay, right. She's saying,
Sharpie or a marker?
I'm sorry?
A Sharpie or a marker? If not, don't worry about it.
Do you want a pen?
Let me go to my bag. I think I have one in the bag.
Oh, no, wait a second.
Actually, I have to get some in there anyway because I got to get the. Let me grab that. And I got to see what the exact word is.
Okay.
All right. Let me write that.
All right, so Sally is saying it's murder because you're killing an innocent human being, and a fetus is an innocent human being. Now, which of the reasons or premises could you not believe in? What's the unsupported premise? I don't want to make this into an abortion class, but having said that, I think this is a good example. She makes a claim, and she gives two premises. It's wrong to take a life of an innocent human being. That's true, right? It's wrong to take a life, and the fetus is an innocent human being.
The fetus is an innocent human being. This part.
Right, yes. Now, one has to provide some premises for that. Okay, and without belaboring the point, I mean, that is the basis of the different opinions about abortion. When is a fetus an innocent human being? And different religions have different conceptions of that. Christianity says at the time of conception, the religion of Islam and Jewish religion both say it's about either 40 days or 100 days when the fetus gains a soul. So there's different opinions about that. So arguments, premises, how to recognize premises and conclusions. Usually premise indicators, well, since, because, given that, seeing that, for the reason that is shown by the fact. Those are indicators of premises, whereas conclusion indicators, well, since A, B, C, and D, therefore, hence, thus, implies, it follows that we may conclude. Okay, so those are like
K10 is good to go. It's the one on the bottom. I plugged the gray cable in. I'm not sure if that's one you needed or
Oh, which one?
over on this side.
Oh, on this side? Oh, so that's good to go.
Yeah, I don't know if
Really?
this is the one you needed, but it's this cable right here. Not DSL, but K10.
Okay, 10. So
Yeah.
obviously this is the one that's working. And
These are both. This is the one you're in, and that
Right.
if you need that, that'll work too.
Oh, well, what did you do to make that live?
I had in the closet. I had to patch it, so I just had to keep. I sent the tone, and I was able to find it with the tone, and then from there I lined it up and then connected it to the switch.
Excellent.
Next time, if you, it's always. I know sometimes you find out last minute, but the earlier you can get it, the you know what I mean, a leeway, because sometimes we're just short. We would, yeah.
Oh, no. This was perfect. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Okay, good. Great. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so what about this example here? Patrick Lawler had a toothache because he had a nail in his head. Is that an argument?
No.
Okay, where do you say that?
Because it's stating a fact, there is no claim.
Right. It's just merely. And, it's just stating a fact, and just, I mean, he has a nail in his head, and that's why he has a toothache. Not trying to convince you of that. Has a nail in the head. I guess it's. I mean, I guess in a way someone could say, well, trying to convince you he had a toothache, but it reads more like a statement. Here, Patrick should have carried medical insurance because now he can't pay his medical bills. Is that an argument?
Again, no.
No? Okay. Other thoughts?
I think it could be an argument if we agree or not on the importance of medical insurance and the premises here that the medical bills is expensive for him. Why
Right,
not?
yeah. So the conclusion is that he should have carried medical insurance.
It's important to have medical insurance.
Right, yeah. Okay. All right, good. So yeah, here, this is merely an explanation of why he has a toothache. It's not anything to do with critical thinking. It's just explaining something, okay? So National Forest needs more. National Forest needs more roads like farmers need more drought. Is that an argument?
No.
No, it's a statement.
Yeah, right. It's a somewhat cynical statement or rhetorical statement.
Yeah. There's no explanation. And no claim.
You know what?
There is no explanation.
Yeah, well, right. It's just, actually, this is a good example of rhetoric. National Forest needs more roads, okay? One is making a claim. Actually, National Forest doesn't need roads, but the person is using a rhetorical device by saying, like farmers need more drought, but it's not producing any reason for the claim. It's just, well, I'm trying to persuade you, and that's the art of rhetoric, trying to persuade you without using critical thinking. Okay, whereas an argument attempts to prove or support a conclusion as opposed to rhetoric. Okay, so now I sent you an exercise, right? On the email. All right, so why don't we we have an exercise, and why don't you discuss in your group which are arguments or which are merely statements, and when I put you in your breakout room for that. Very good. Okay, is everyone back?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we're missing one person.
Right?
Joy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Where is she? Where'd she go? Oh, okay, she's here. Very good. Excellent. All right, we're going to use your document as a template. All right, so these are the conclusions of the second group. My toe hurts because I stubbed it. You say no. Agreements, disagreements from the other group?
I think we about the third sentence, we said that it's an argument.
No, we're at the first. We're still at the first.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
They say no. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I certainly agree with that as well. Okay. There's a fire in there because there is smoke out here. Yes, with a question mark.
Yes.
Yes,
for me.
You agree?
Agree. It's an
No,
argument.
I disagree.
Okay. All right. Take it easy. Relax. All right.
We put
why you
question mark
disagree.
when just two agreed on an answer and one refused it.
I see. Okay. So, who's disagreeing? Golana?
Golana. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us why.
I just don't understanding. There is a fire there because there is a smoke here. I don't understand this logic, whether this how this can be an argument, because these two don't follow.
Someone else explain your thinking.
So for me, it was an argument because the claim is that there is a fire and the explanation is that I can see smoke out here. But Golana was thinking that maybe the smoke is of other reason, not from the fire.
Right. Well, that could be a counter argument for sure. Yeah. This goes with the strength of the argument So could there be any other reasons for the premise? The smoke is out here. Just like the abortion example, what's the strength of the argument? It depends on the strength of the premises. So I certainly agree. There could be another explanation, but having said that, there's a lot of smoke out here, and so, well, there must be a fire in the house. Now, that could be a weak argument, or is it mainly an explanation?
Well, I think I agreed about this being an argument because sometimes you can have the fire in some place and the smoke goes way farther than the fire, where the fire is.
Well, I'm not sure if that explains why it's an argument. I mean, I guess someone is trying to convince you of something, that there's a fire in there because there's smoke out here. Thinking about you're going towards a building and you see a lot of smoke and you're trying to make a claim, well, there must be a fire in there. Now that, what, Are people able to hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I lost connection from one of my computers. That's okay. It's always good to have a backup. Oh, all right. So let's. One could say someone is trying to convince you of something, that there's a fire in there, and the reason is because it's out here. Now, that may not be a strong argument because, as you say, there could be other reasons for the smoke, but be that as it may, this has the form of an argument. Okay. All right, good. Price of oil went up because OPEC cut back on supply, and you say no. Everyone agrees?
I think it's disagree.
You disagree. You think it's an argument.
Yes.
Okay. What's the claim?
He's putting the reason why the price went up. Trying to convince.
Well, the fact of the matter is that the oil did go up. The price did go up.
Yeah.
It's either yes or no. It did go up.
Yeah.
Sometimes a claim looks like a fact.
You mean it's a fact, it's not a claim?
Right, you're not trying to convince. It is what it is. Now, unless you believe, I guess if you believe in a lot of fake news, but the fact of the matter is it did go up, or my toe hurts. That's not a claim, that's a fact. I mean, if you believe the guy. So this is a fact, and this is the explanation for why the oil went up.
Mm.
Okay, I'm not trying to convince you of something.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree oil went up.
Yeah.
So, and here's the explanation. Here, my toe hurts. It is what it is because I stubbed it. That's an explanation. That has a similar format.
Mm.
Again, I'm not trying to convince you of something like abortion, or I'm saying Tommy is a liar, which is different from the price of oil went up. Okay. Well, let's see. She won the lottery because she is lucky.
So for me, this is not an argument, but Sousan and Gulana agreed it was an argument.
Okay, what do other people think?
I think it's like the last one, she won the lottery. It's a fact here, right? It's not a claim.
Right. And this
Plus,
explains.
being lucky is not an explanation, I guess.
Well, it's almost like there's smoke out here. Well, in the sense, well, let me take that back. She won the lottery. Okay. I mean, now.
It doesn't necessarily mean it was because of her luck. And not everyone who wins the lottery is lucky. It's because of their luck.
Okay, let me take this one step back. What is the claim in that statement?
There is no claim.
No claim?
Claim is that she is lucky.
Yes. That's the claim. She's lucky. And what's the supporting premise? She won the lottery.
Then maybe we should write this in the opposite way. She's lucky because she won the lottery.
Oh, well, I mean, you could write it any way you want, but, life isn't going to be that easy. They're not going to always give you the premise first. And give you the conclusion last. And now, because is right before she is lucky, I think it kind of begs you to think that that's the premise.
Yeah.
Right? So I think if you change it around, it could be more of an argument. Because I think whoever wrote this exercise, wasn't me, didn't do a good job. But I actually think this is the claim. She is lucky.
So she won the lottery.
And the evidence for that? She won the lottery. All right, good. Dogs do not like being alone, for they bark loudly when they are left alone. Is that an argument?
No.
Other thoughts?
For me, it's not an argument.
Okay. Is there any claim here?
Well, I felt it's an argument.
Yes, the claim is that they bark loudly when they are left alone.
Right. I think that's correct. I see a dog out there barking loudly, and they're left alone. And the reason why they're barking loudly is because they don't like being left alone. That's my premise. Could be true or false, the premise. Okay. So, I don't know, you could go both ways. You could say this is the claim.
It's not easy.
Yeah, right. Well, I didn't say this life was going to be easy here. Actually, I think this is the claim.
Yeah, I felt that this is the claim. Dogs do not like being alone, but barking loudly was not the explanation. It was the result. They don't like being alone. So that's why me and Gulana thought it's not an argument. But for Southern, she thought she was thinking that it could be an argument because we can justify they don't like being alone with the loud barking.
Oh, no, wait a second. Now, why they don't like being alone? And the reason is when they are left alone, they bark loudly. And that's why I know they don't like being alone. So the claim is they don't like being alone. And how do I know that? Because when they're left alone, they are barking loudly, just like a baby. A baby don't like being alone because when they are left alone, they cry a lot.
Yes, but the premise is not true. Maybe they are barking because of other reasons, not just because they're alone.
Again, that is true. And that all depends. And now that doesn't mean it's not an argument. All you're talking about is the strength of the argument. There could be other reasons, for sure, and we'll get into that. But that is the, we'll get into that when we talk about deductive arguments and inductive arguments. Inductive arguments, deductive arguments, we say something is either true or false based on the argument. Inductive argument, we don't say whether the claim is true or false. We evaluate the strength of the argument. And that will depend on the strength of the premise. Just like the abortion example. That was an argument. And now it all depends on the strength of that premise, whether fetuses are innocent human beings. And different religions have different viewpoints, and that's why we have different opinions about abortion, because the strength of the abortion argument is not totally true or false. So again,
this is an argument.
What's an argument?
So this is an argument.
Yeah.
This sentence. Okay.
Yeah, it's an argument.
Yeah.
Now, it all depends on the strength. It's just like, again, conclusions in the research study. The conclusions are based on the strength of your data. If you did convenient sampling instead of random sampling, your data are not that strong. but you could make a conclusion. The conclusion may or may not be strong. So actually, this is part of critical thinking, is that first we have to recognize when we actually have an argument. And then we have to evaluate the strength of the argument. And we're going to talk about fallacies. Someone will make an argument, and someone will say, going to war was not a good idea because this president is stupid. Okay? Now, someone is trying to argue something, but the strength of that argument is very weak because it's not based on any premises. It's just attacking the person. So well, let's continue on. So again, think about that. We're not evaluating the strength of the argument. We're just evaluating whether we have an argument. So cutting the interest rate will have no effect on the stock market this time, as people have been expecting a rate cut all along. And you're saying yes. Everyone agree? I don't see a question mark next to that yes. So there must be
we all agree.
Unanimity in that group. Okay, right. So here is the claim, and here's the reason. People have been expecting it. When people sweat a lot, they tend to drink more water. I don't see any claim. It's just a statement, okay? Yeah, it's just a statement. I was thinking they tend to drink more water. Well, I mean, one could merely say that whole statement is a claim. And then if somebody wants to go into physiology, that would be fine. But again, an argument needs a claim and some premises. You really do need a root canal because you have an acute tooth abscess. So which is the claim?
You really need a root canal.
Right, okay, right. And because you have an acute tooth abscess. Okay. She doesn't eat pork, chicken, turkey, or fish. She must be a vegetarian. Is there a claim here?
No.
Yes.
I think it's like a sweat. The two sentences above about the sweat. The whole can be a claim, but separately, no.
Oh, she must be vegetarian.
No, for me, the claim may be.
Which is the claim?
Both
Must be
sentences
vegetarian.
as a whole. Both sentences as a whole.
Well, this is a fact. More of a fact. This is the claim. She must be, or I think it's better worded, she is a vegetarian. Or she must be a vegetarian. And the premise is, well, she doesn't eat pork, chicken, turkey, or fish. That supports that claim that she is a vegetarian. I'm trying to convince you that this person is a vegetarian. Oh yeah, why do you say that? Well, every time I've seen her, she hasn't eaten any pork, chicken, turkey, or fish. And that I just realized.
She might be allergic to all.
Well, right, yeah, that's true. That's true. By the way, I just realized something. With my other computer off, I don't have a video on. Okay, that's better. I guess you were.
Or maybe she's vegan.
Oh, well, now we're getting into. Yeah, she could be vegan too. Okay. All right. So, okay. All right, good. All right, so I think we'll I think we'll call it a day. This is again a construction of the arguments. What is an argument? How do you support an argument? And our next session, we'll talk about different types of argument, deductive, inductive, and then after that, we'll talk about the strengths of inductive arguments and fallacies, how to notice fallacies when someone is trying to convince you of something. And so that's the agenda for critical thinking. Let's see now. Golana, you have a question?
Yes, it's not a question. It's just something that we discussed in our group in WhatsApp, that some of us don't see attachments in emails, and some of us go to the dashboard to our students section, and we see the previous workshops, and there are some documents there and some quizzes. We have some questions and we needed clarifications on that. We wanted to make sure where we pick like PowerPoints and documents for each session, whether we should communicate and just rely on email you send us, or we should check the dashboard as well if there are any documents.
Oh, okay.
We just bring your...
Well, as it turns out, last night I just simply forgot to attach the attachment. I think I'm using the framework of last year's course, and I haven't really have had time to reconfigure the materials on the dashboard. So for now, whatever materials you will need for the day, expect an email. Now, surely, if I say in the email, see attached, and there's no attachment, then that just means I forgot to attach the attachment. So why don't we, for now, rely on the emails? How's that?
That's great. Okay.
Okay. No, thanks for bringing that up. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So tomorrow, Samar will give some points about statistics, and in the afternoon, Maha will talk about presentation skills. And Samar hasn't sent me anything, so but if she does, I'll pass it on to you. How's that?
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this is good. I appreciate your hard work, and I'm glad we're having this opportunity to be together. I'm getting a really good sense of knowing you all, and I hope all of these exercises are helping out a lot. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts?
Thank you.
Okay.
No, thank
All
you.
right. You all have a good evening, and have a good dinner, whenever that might be. Okay.
You too. Have a good day. Bye.
All right. Good. Thank you very much. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.